Hello everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul. Today, once again, in the studio we have JJ from ASUS. How you doing, JJ?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking me, man, and thank you for having me.
No problem. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more closely about this little tiny motherboard right here. This is the Z97I Plus. Now,
yes.
We have just come off of our video about the Z97 Deluxe.
Yes.
So let's start with the big question. When you're taking a mainstream series of motherboards and you got to go all the way from smaller form factors, smaller sizes, all the way up to the big, like the Z97 Deluxe, where you're integrating everything possible into that motherboard. Is it difficult to look at the feature set of a Z97 Deluxe and then look at the size of the Z97I Plus?
Yes.
And did you have to make these difficult decisions? What do you keep? What do you let go of?
Definitely. I mean, always balancing out, the specification and the functionality implementation is always really the hardest part about mini ITX, especially because I think we've set a tone over the last couple of generations, really going all the way back to, H67-I Deluxe, when we really started making really kind of performance-oriented ultra small form factor boards, that there's an expectation of the community of what they want to be able to do with these type of boards. And as the communities embrace them more and we've seen more chassis variation and more designs come out, definitely it's become harder and harder, especially when we offer really great advanced features like let's say we introduce new fan control functionality, right? People might not think about it, but we have to physically lay out certain traces and certain characteristics on the board to be able to enable certain fan control function. It's not just a question of putting that header on the board and you have that function there. So even me wanting to, let's say, give you Fan Expert 3 fan controls requires very careful layout considerations to be able to give you that actual type of functionality. So you're 100% right. When we go from distilling down what we want to be able to give you on a deluxe or a pro class motherboard, even the Dash A, which has an extraordinarily high value from its features and functionality, into something as small as a mini ITX, it's very difficult. But I think that especially compared to even the previous generation, the Dash I Plus, while it's not a deluxe board, we're not going to have a deluxe board in the mainstream, at least for this generation. It's still, I think, an extremely impressive board. So regardless of whether you're gaming, whether you're building a small form factor editing box, whether you're doing, HTPC-oriented focus, whatever it might be, this is going to be really an awesome board that gives you, I think, unquestionably a great deal of functionality and flexibility on how you use the board.
Okay, so going back to the previous generation, the Z77 and the Z87 boards and the mini ITX form factors that you guys brought in, we're missing the riser board here that you guys have put on there for the power delivery. Does that mean that I can't overclock with this motherboard?
No, definitely not. And that was part of just a balance of, like I said, we needed to manage resources to be able to prioritize some other projects that we're working on from a board standpoint, but we still didn't compromise on the overall power delivery implementation. So you still have fully molded, very high-grade alloy-based inductors. So those are those chokes that give you that power output capability. We're using extremely high-performance international rectifier, unified MOSFET and driver packages, which also have very high voltage thresholds, which help to dissipate actually temperatures extremely well. So overall, this VRM assembly is very solidly built, so you're not going to have any issues in terms of being able to overclock. I've already done testing on this board, no issues in terms of getting 4.6, 4.7, 4.8 gigahertz. So nice. Yeah, as long as you've got CPU margin and cooling in place to be able to take care of that, you're not going to have a limitation in terms of the VRM holding you back in that regard.
All right, and I like that you guys have stuck with the very centralized location of the CPU socket itself.
Definitely.
And, just to point out a couple basic things about this board that we haven't mentioned yet is that this is a socket 1150 motherboard. This will work with existing Haswell processors or 4th generation core processors, as well as the Haswell refresh processors that Intel has released now as of the filming of this video, or will be releasing very soon. So no worries there as far as support for any of those processors that you might want to drop in here. But let's talk about additional features apart from the overclocking, because you're really going to be able to get all the overclocking you'd want out of this motherboard in a smaller form factor. But additional features. Let's go back to the fans, because does this board still feature the 5-way optimization?
Yes, it does actually feature our 5-way optimization. So for you guys who are familiar with the previous generation 4-way, really the focal points there were our auto tuning technology to dynamically overclock the system, as well as our Fan Expert 2, which was a very advanced fan control per header, as well as automatic fan calibration. So for this generation, we're extending both of those functions and even making them more advanced, while also introducing a new function called app tuning. So getting back to the first part for 5-way optimization, and the auto tuning part, definitely you guys want to check out the video that we're going to do that'll show you real time actually how 5-way optimization works and how auto tuning works. But as a quick recap, essentially it's going to allow you to dynamically overclock your CPU based on its margin, your CPU cooling, your power supply, your memory, and be able to give you a system specific overclock that's also sensible on the voltage. We have a defined fixed voltage to make sure that, especially in a smaller size enclosure, you're not overdriving more voltage than you would want to have to the CPU. In addition to that, though, for this generation, we've given you some really really awesome options like being able to do targeted preset overclocking based on either temperature or frequency. You can determine the actual voltage, the increments in between how long the actual testing process is in between each step that it's scaling. We've incorporated an advanced multi-threaded stress test for memory that simultaneously runs at the same time that we're doing CPU stress testing, and a whole lot more. So some really awesome functions for the auto overclocking I think is going to be really impressive. In addition to that, for FanExpert 3, FanExpert 3 is a firmware and hardware combination, which is I think really impressive. So if you take a look at the board, we've got 3 fan headers on there, right? So
they're all right up there.
You can see right there. So, in a mini ITX chassis, that's pretty reasonable, but for some of you guys that might be looking at maybe some of the larger chassis that are out there from, let's say, companies like Bitphoenix, Cooler Master, Lian Li, they're going to maybe sometimes give you even a little bit more flexibility, even have more fans than that. So the cool thing that we've done here is we've given you the ability to have true output control signal for these headers for either DC or PWM. So being able to output the PWM control signal, we can use one of these guys like a fan splitter. Okay. We can put this to the chassis fan header, and if we set it to PWM, then we can go ahead and attach 2 or 3 more fans to it and position them at ease or wherever we want them to, but still have that same control signal being sent by the motherboard. So this is really awesome because it's going to give you a whole new level of flexibility at how many additional fans you can have connected, as well as how you can actually define their operating experience. Whether it's in the UEFI or whether it's in the operating system, they're both fully adjustable. And speaking about the operating system, we of course maintain that ability to do full automatic fan calibration, but we've also now extended that to the UEFI environment. So you can do full automatic fan calibration within the UEFI environment as well.
Excellent. And in a mini ITX chassis, a very small form factor, you might not consider that you would have too many fans in there, but considering the great lengths that some modders have done to integrate, say, radiators with push-pull configurations. You might have 4 fans going on a 240 millimeter radiator or something like that. So having that added functionality, the ability to expand that and still maintain the control over it, I know is going to be a very welcome feature for a lot of folks out there.
Definitely.
So that's kind of a quick rundown of the five-way optimization.
But we didn't note the app tuning function.
The app tuning. That is the 5th. That is element number 5.
That is number 5.
Okay.
So with the app tuning function, the really big part that we have there is that we're now giving the ability to essentially have manual clock frequencies as well as LAN profiling and audio profiling specific to your program. So what you can go ahead and do is you could, let's say, define Battlefield 4 so that when you open it up, it automatically will overclock to 4.6 gigahertz. It'll automatically set your LAN prioritization to high, and it'll automatically set the game EQ to game optimization mode. So this is a really awesome function that you could really get into to be able to define the experience per program, whether it's going to be the frequency, the network operation protocol, as well as the audio protocol. So this is a really awesome feature that we have that rounds out the 5-way optimization level functionality for the board.
So it'll make sure whenever I launch Notepad, I have the maximum overclock.
Definitely. You could pursue that. So in addition to that, of course, we've got all the standard connectivity that you would expect. So front USB 3 header, we've got 4 SATA 6G ports. So you've got very robust connectivity in terms of the storage on the board. You've got a full physical by 16, and as you noted with the centralized socket here, this is not going to impact your ability to use larger cooling solutions, even if you have a graphic card installed. Now, in terms of the audio, we've gone ahead and done a little bit of an update to the audio section on the board. It's very minor because it's a small section part of the board, so it's hard to see, but we do have an operational amplifier on there, and we have Nichicon audio grade capacitors, and we also are maintaining our new design implementation that will allow you to go ahead and have profiled EQs for either in-ear monitors, over-the-ear headsets, or desktop speakers. Okay. So whether you connect to the front headphone connection or to the line level out, when you go ahead and plug in, you'll see little icons that you can select, and it'll automatically set to either one of those selections you've made. So like I said, in-ear, over-the-ear, or desktop speakers. And you can also then pick specially designed profiles for either music, movies, or games that we co-worked with the DTS group on. So some really awesome level of functionality that we have on that.
All right, well, looks like a really nice feature set there, JJ. The one, I mean, if I can express one disappointment I have here is that you guys skipped over the M.2 integration. But that's okay. I know we'll leave that for the
we do have that. It's just it's something that you can't easily see here on the front of the board.
Oh,
but
if we actually
flip the board behind,
okay,
you're going to see that we actually do have M.2. And this is actually fully supportive of both SATA and PCIe-based M.2 specifications. So you're going to really have actually the best of both worlds in terms of being able to give you as much flexibility whether you're using the local PCH or whether you want even higher performing M.2 PCI Express-based SSDs. You're just going to have to mount it on the back of the board. But overall, a great deal of flexibility to be able to give you that great storage and performance.
Yeah, a fantastic solution if you guys are looking for probably the most ideal place to install an operating system on an SSD.
Definitely in a small form factor-based solution. solution as well, this is going to be a really great choice for you guys that are considering that.
And then by doing that, you still leave all 4 of your serial ATA 6G.
Right, and especially in these smaller size chassis, having that flexibility of not taking up as much room for cabling purposes and things like that is always nice.
Excellent.
So, rounding out the connectivity, of course, you've got things like you would expect, so integrated 811 AC with Bluetooth wireless. You've got USB 3, USB Charger Plus support, of course, quick charging on tablets and smartphones. And we also have accessory support for other devices like our Qi wireless charging station. So if you have a Qi wirelessly enabled mobile device, you can go ahead and do that, as well as our NFC Express Box. So the NFC Express Box is really nice as an accessory for you guys that want to be able to take a smartphone or a tablet and be able to have advanced functionality like automatically logging into your system, quick launching applications, as well as even actually transferring over photos wirelessly or streaming over videos. You can even also, for this generation, be able to actually do Bluetooth pairing where you can stream audio from your mobile device to your desktop PC.
Excellent. So those 2 devices sold separately but still fully
correct, fully supported. And just rounding it out here, even though it's a small form factor board, there's a great level of functionality that we offer here in other pieces that tie in the software and the hardware-based experience. So we've got Media Streamer, which is a really great program which will allow you to go ahead and stream music, movies, or games either on an internet or an extranet-based environment. So as long as you've got Wi-Fi or cellular connection, you can do that. You've got Home Cloud, which will allow you to mount your actual C drive volume directly in the cloud and be able to go ahead and manage files, share files, stream files directly from that volume. You don't have to upload anything to the cloud. And then we round it out with some really cool functions like Push Notice. Push Notice will work in an intranet or extranet environment, but will allow you to receive messages on your mobile device on whether your system is having issues with temperatures, voltage, or fan speeds. So that and a whole lot more is present with this board, and I think regardless of whatever you're building towards, gaming, media center, content creation, general productivity, it's a really awesome board with a great deal of functionality.
Excellent. So that has been a quick rundown of the Z97i Plus from ASUS, part of their new Z97 series of mainstream boards. JJ, thank you so much for sharing all this information with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and thanks to you guys for watching. If you would like to, go ahead and leave a comment down in the comment section below and let us know what type of system you think would be best for this board, because it can do so many things. HTPC, maybe a small form factor gaming system, maybe a little server, something along those lines.
Definitely.
Or like some hybrid combination.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. But thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button, and we'll see you all next time.